Hello everyone and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster series, where I showcase some games that I played recently in my journey to becoming a Grandmaster. In this first match I will show you guys how to refute the England Gambit. So it starts off with d4, e5, d takes, bishop c6, bishop f3, queen e7, bishop g5, queen b4 check, bishop d2, queen takes b2, knight c3, bishop b4 in here, rook b1, queen a3, and I like to play rook b3, attacks the bishop and the queen, queen a5, and then here e4 gets the bishop out, and my opponent, instead of playing a developing move like knight g7, he plays bishop takes, and then I play bishop takes back, queen takes a2, and here I play knight d2 with the idea of trapping his queen. In the past I used to play e6 because I didn't know what to do, and this sets up a discovered attack on the pawn. And a lot of players, when I used to play this move, they would play the mistake f takes e6, and then it's just a free rook that I get. And then some players would actually play d takes e6, still giving me a free rook. And very rarely, some players play the best move here, which is f6. And here I just go d2 with the same idea of trapping the queen, because if I were to play e takes d7, bishop takes, and black is actually close to castling, which is not that good. So that's why I play knight d2, going for the immediate queen trap. And my opponent plays knight g7, developing, which allows knight c4. And now next move is rook a3. And here my opponent castles, and he resigns after rook a3, trapping his queen. And before he castles, if my opponent were to play something like queen a6, trying to escape the queen trap, you actually have a knight d6 check with a discovered attack on the queen. And if the opponent tries queen a4, trying to escape rook a3, queen b5, and now you play knight d6 check, winning the queen. For example, c takes, bishop takes wins. And yeah, that's how I refute the England Gambit. Hope you guys learned. If you guys didn't know how to refute the England Gambit, how to, or another way how to, if you didn't know this way. And yeah, the other game I'll show you is a sort of kingside attack, which turned into a very messy middle game into a pretty instructive endgame, kinda. But yeah, it starts off with d6, knight f6, bishop f4, trying to go into a London system. My opponent chooses not to take the center, so I choose to take it for myself, knight c3. And here he should play d5, stopping e4, because I'm about to take the center. But instead my opponent plays d6, giving me the center. And he plays bishop g7, which allows me to prepare to trade his powerful dark-scored bishop. And here my opponent castles, which allows me to attack his dark-scored bishop. And here he plays the bad move knight g4. This allows bishop takes, king takes, and now I could just castle for free. And his knight is kind of misplaced. It's kind of at the edge of the board, so I could easily boot it back and start developing if I want to. I can kind of boot it back and start attacking if I want to. And here my opponent plays the mistake f5. And f5 is bad because his king is already weak. He has dark squared holes around it. I can just start attacking. And the move f5 allows me to open up his king side at some point very easily with h4, h5. And here I play f3, attacking his knight, knight h6. I play h4, because if I reach h5 and trade pawns, I can threaten some nasty ideas with the rook and queen. My opponent plays e5, and here I play h5, continuing the idea. Rook h8 is played, because if takes takes, now the knight is defended. Here I play d takes e5, because if d takes e5, queen takes c8, rook takes c8, and rook takes d8, wins the game on the spot. His pieces aren't developed and they're kinda stuck back here because my rook is looking at his rook. And I have 3 pieces that could just come out and destroy the king. But instead of taking back, my opponent plays knight c6, developing the knight. And here I play e takes d6 because it's a free pawn. C takes d6, and here I should have just developed my bishop, restricting his bishop. But instead I got a little bit greedy. And I was confident that I was just winning because I'm 2 pawns up. And I am winning. But this is kind of dubious because now after this queen trade, there's kind of no attack on his king. After rook d8, which my opponent played, I'm forced to trade off rooks. And now I play h takes, and bishop c4, kind of restricting the knights, but mostly restricting his bishop. And he plays knight c6. Now I go knight g2 with the idea of f4, knight f4. He plays a6 for some reason. Now I play knight f4. He plays b5 attacking my bishop. Bishop d5 pinning his knight. Bishop d7. And here I play the dubious move e5. The best move is bishop takes, knight e5, knight e6 check, king f6, knight d4, and now you're double attacking his pieces, and he will have to lose one of them. But I play e5 with the idea of pushing, trying to promote this pawn, and he plays rook c8, unpinning his knight. And here I play e6. A better move again would be to take, rook takes, and then moving my knight to e2 with the idea of d4, attacking his rook. But instead I play e6, attacking his bishop e8, blockading the pawn, kinda. And I play the dubious move rook e1. Again, the engine wants me to take, and then just play knight d5, or this way knight d5, bishop takes, into this endgame where the knight will blockade. But I'm 2 pawns up, so my king might actually walk up here and gobble these pawns. And another move instead of rook e1, a better move would be rook d1. Potentially pushing my, after trades, pushing my rook to d8 after the move e7. And so here my opponent plays knight g8 with the idea of blockading the pawn. And here I play the mistake knight d3 with the idea of going to e5 or c5 or knight b4. I should have played again, the engine wants takes, and just put my knight here. But I play knight d3, he attacks my bishop by blockading the pawn too. And here the engine actually just wants me to play a3, stopping b4, kinda allowing my bishop to be taken. But I just move back, and then he plays the mistake knight a5, and I play knight b4 attacking his pawn. He trades his knight for my bishop. Now he plays a5, knight b to d5 attacking his knight that's blockading the pawn, and getting away from the attack. Knight takes, and now rook c5 is played. And here I play the mistake knight c3. I should have played rook e5, but I was kind of scared of king f6, but I didn't see that the knight was covering f6. So yeah, I missed this opportunity for rook e5. And even if f6 was possible, I have an outpost with f4. And to continue this line, that could have happened is bishop c6, double attacking the knight, and then you have to play e7 here, only move. This is the only move to win the game. Anything else loses or draws, so. And the opponent actually cannot take the knight here, because if rook takes, bishop e8, blockading, you have rook e5, and your king is going to walk up and win the game. Or maybe just to walk up and just attack the bishop and promote. That's why e5 was so good, but I play knight c3, and my opponent plays b4, and I play knight a4 attacking the rook. Rook c6, which is a mistake. He should have played rook b5. This move restricts the knight, but also restricts rook e5 from ever happening. That's why rook c6 is a mistake, because it allows rook e5 at some point. And here I play f4 just in case the king wants to walk in, or if he wants to push a pawn. So I restrict his pawns, and I also prepare an outpost for the rook at some point. King f6 is played, and here I play e7. And my opponent plays rook e6, because I guess he wanted to trade into a losing endgame, so I took it because I know I'm winning in this endgame. And here I play rook c5 check, king takes. And here I play rook knight b7. What was better is actually, according to the engine, king d2, walking the king up. And if a bishop c6, preventing knight b7, you just play g3 because your pawn is being attacked, and now your king can just walk up via dark squares. And yeah, you're chilling. You could probably enter this way, take these pawns, or enter this way, take these pawns with the knight and stuff. And you have a pretty solid winning endgame. But I play knight b7, which allows c6, and now takes, and I'm still just one pawn up. This endgame is actually called knight versus bishop, with the knight side having the advantage. That's what the endgame is called. But anyways, the game. And knight takes a5, bishop takes g2, king d2, which is a blunder by me. It's now a draw. I should have played c3, king e6, and then king d2. And that would have been fine, but I play king d2, which is a blunder. But my opponent, he blunders back by playing king d6. He should have played king f6 here, preparing g5, for example, king e3, g5, takes, and now this pawn is threatening to promote, but you're also threatening to promote, and this should be a draw. I'm guessing because at some point the knight will have to sacrifice itself, and maybe the king will walk in front of these pawns, maybe. Or maybe the bishop sacrifices itself for one of the pawns, and now the king's in front. But yeah, this is a draw. And I'm happy he played king d6. I did not actually... No one saw king f6 in the game, but he played king d6, which continues... which still allows me to win the game. I play knight c4, which is dubious. Point of this is to go to e5, attacking this pawn. And a better move here would actually be king e3, preparing to walk in. And if something like king d5, you play c3, and then king e5, knight c4, bishop d5. And according to the engine, I'm winning. But I play knight c4 check, trying to go to e5, king c5, then I play knight e5, which is also dubious or a bad move. I should have played here again c3, and it just transposes into the other line I showed you, king e3. But I play knight e5, he can't push this pawn because I take, and this pawn is hanging. My opponent plays king d4, and here I play c3 check, and he plays the mistake. B takes c3, he should have played something like king d5, and then knight takes, and I'm still winning here after king e4, and then let's say either c4 or c takes b4, and I'm winning. But after b takes, c takes, this is actually a pretty easy endgame, because I want you guys after knight g6 check to imagine these pawns here not existing. And this is kind of a, without these pawns, it's just a two passed pawns, knight and two passed pawns versus bishop endgame, where you have to walk up your king with the help of the knight. And that's how you win this type of endgame. These pawns here, they don't exist, basically. So I'll show you how this endgame works. So king d5, you walk your king, bishop e4, you come back, you're threatening to check. So your goal is to plug up the holes created by the pawns by the knight. So I was kind of preparing knight d3 here as well. So bishop c2 attacking the pawn. And here c4 check, forcing the king to move to c5. And then you go knight d3 check, covering the dark squares here, forcing the king to move up. And if bishop takes, king takes, wins the game because it's two passed pawns versus a king. And the king can never take a pawn because the other pawn runs. So king c6, and then you got b4, threatening another check. King b6, and now I move my king further, or closer, to the pawns, so I can also plug up the holes with the king. King c7, king c3 attacking the bishop. Bishop d1, now I play b5. Bishop h5, trying to find a way to stop these pawns. I play knight e5, restricting the bishop, forcing it to e8 if it were to ever move. And my opponent actually does move it to e8. So king b4, threatening to play c5. King b6, now c5 check. King b7, and you just walk up. Here. I go here because if b6, the light squares will be covered. King b5. I'm also attacking the bishop and restricting it on these two squares. Bishop d5, b6 check, b7, b5. And here, c6 check wins. It's over because, let's say, bishop takes, knight takes, and then, so basically you just walk up. Black's king is in Zugzwang. You walk up and you promote because you're covering the promotion square. But yeah, c6 check wins. King c8 is what's played. Knight f7, threatening a fork. Bishop d3, king c5, king b8, c7 check, and here my opponent plays king b7, and now this ends the game with knight d6. This wins because the light squares are covered, and the pawn will promote, and the king cannot do anything about it. For example, let's say king a6, let's say check, king a5, queen e8, let's say bishop a6, and then knight b7, bishop takes, checkmate, something like that, and it's over. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Have a nice day, and peace out.